first? Ladies. Who's first? Ladies. Who's first? Ladies. What time is it? It's time for the ladies. It's the ladies first Chit-Chat crew. It's time for the ladies. It's the ladies first Chit-Chat crew. L-A-D-I-S, and we're up first. L-A-D-I-S, L-A-D-I-S, and we're up first. Speak what you want, unbossed. Speak what you want, unbossed. Speak what you want, unbossed. And we're up first. Unapologetically great. Unapologetically great. Unapologetically great. And we're up first. Yes, ladies. That's dope. Yes, ladies. That's dope. Yes, ladies. That's dope. And we're up first. It's time for the ladies. It's the ladies first Chit-Chat crew. It's time for the ladies. It's the ladies first Chit-Chat crew. One time for the ladies in the house. Two time make the people scream and shout. Lachelle, Chandra, Crystal with Nikki on Boss and Nikki. L-A-D-I-S, and we're up first. L-A-D-I-S, L-A-D-I-S, and we're up first.
Wow! Oh, y'all can't see me. I'm doing too much. I was like, it's not playing on the website.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's playing though. I'm over here. We are on a delay on the website, but I'm over here going, Rebecca, I got her on FaceTime encoded. Blah, 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 blah. Welcome to the Ladies First Chit-Chat crew, where we honor the voice of the everyday woman. You can't tell me we can't do shit. We can do anything.
Good morning.
Huh?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I mean, good morning. And on that note,
Hey.
Thank you. He's like, thank you.
hey! Yes. Hold on. Y'all know I gotta go crazy.
I was getting ready to say.
We on YouTube.
Hey.
We can go off a little bit.
Yes, birthday girl.
Birthday.
This one is cool. You know, I always play the clean version, but this one for you. Yo, Nikki like the foul one. Ready? Come on. Hey.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy
Another year.
How are you feeling, birthday lady?
I'm feeling good. I That was someday. I feel really blessed. I feel really blessed. I have a strong tribe of friends,
Wow.
family, and I feel really blessed.
You look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been eating up
Beautiful.
a storm. I look a little full.
You
Right.
look
That's because life is full.
I woke up to M&Ms.
good. You know why? Because it's your birthday.
That's my
It's your
birthday.
birthday, honey.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thank
You
you,
know,
though.
we adore you. We love you. Our bottom line, Nikki Boss,
I
shining,
appreciate it.
shining today. I I want people in the chat. I know if you're watching us on the website, you're unable to make comments. However, you can always go over to the YouTube link, and it's right there in the website if you want to make comments. But shine some light on our girl Nikki Boss. Wish her happy birthday. Tell her you love her. We love her. And you look
Thank
beautiful in
you.
your pink today. Yay,
Thank
yay, yay.
you. I do love pink.
I really do. I think it's how y'all doing? How the rest of y'all doing? Y'all all right?
Doing well.
Good. I think today is such a great day for the topic that we are talking about. We are talking about becoming uncomfortable and inevitable. It's uncomfortable, but guess what? It's gonna happen. We're gonna evolve. I'm gonna read our little blurb. I got a quote. Start off with a quote from Michelle Obama. For me, becoming isn't about arriving somewhere or achieving a certain aim. I see it instead as forward motion, a means of evolving, a way to reach continuously toward a better self. The journey doesn't end. And my little write up this week was taken from my sisters from our conversation on Thursday. As you evolve, it can be uncomfortable. Uncomfortable because it's different, exciting, and challenging all at the same time. And you continue to take the steps daily towards your new greatness. Uncomfortable equals progress is what we always talk about. Evolving can also be uncomfortable for those you love, not because they don't care about you, because they are not ready to move. So they project their own perception of limitation onto you. Sometimes they do this without even knowing. And then the roles can reverse, and you are the person uncomfortable with the ones you love that are evolving. Do you feel yourself evolving? Is it uncomfortable? Are you embracing it, accepting and moving forward and letting it happen? Or are you putting up resistance, and why? And do you feel stuck in the middle? Let's unpack it. Let's chat about it. Let's chat about it, y'all. I know we started talking about this and coming up with this. Crystal said it's becoming. And Shelly said, and it's uncomfortable and inevitable based off how I showed up at the meeting on Thursday. I showed up in the meeting. I won't say disheveled, but I was hella bothered and hella bothered, funny in a good way. Right? When you said that, I was hella bothered in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whereas in the past, I would have looked at it as like, oh my God. And in the process of it, just a lot is happening externally and internally. We know the obvious, but also I received a message from someone very close to me that really, really stumped me and really upset me. And my sisters came together with me and says, one of the reasons it upset me so much and one of the reasons how I need to embrace and accept and move forward is because I am becoming and I am evolving. And some of the things that I would accept and hear and take on in my past, I'm not doing that anymore. Now I'm being honest and open and listening, but there's a different way that I respond to things now than I would in my past because I'm becoming. And yeah, it's uncomfortable, but in a weird way, it feels very liberating, very free, and I feel like I'm progressing. Does that make sense? Without I don't want to sound like I'm talking in code, but does that make sense?
It makes total sense. I mean, that's like to me, and Thursday was such a great example, but I think, sometimes we are evolving and we don't even recognize it, right?
Mhm.
Because it's sort of a part, sometimes it's intentional, but sometimes it's just this natural shedding of how we used to do things, what we used to accept. And we're moving quite seamlessly into this new version of ourselves and we don't notice. But when something like that happens, right? Someone you work with, a friend, a family member, someone says something to you or assigns some sort of personality trait onto you, or I've had people do this and it has been assigned to me that I'm becoming something else. They'll be like, Lachelle's always blah blah blah, right? And I'm like, right, there's like an offense I feel or a hurt that I feel, and it's a sign for me that I'm evolving into something that I might not even recognize I'm evolving into. Because before, I used to take on that moniker or that compliment or that advice, criticism, and be like, yeah, I would swallow it very easily. But when it becomes difficult and it rubs you the wrong way, it's a sign, it's an alert for you to pay attention to, like, oh, wait, I'm changing. And the good thing, because Thursday was such an enlightened moment for all of us, the good thing is not the good thing. The thing not to do is to try to slide back into who you were to make other people comfortable with your becoming.
And that's what I was about. That's what I was about to do. I was
Mhm.
about to slide back into who I was, or who she still got a toe over there to make people comfortable. And that was making me uncomfortable. And that was making me upset even
Mhm.
more. And I love that y'all were like, you don't do that, because it's not how we operate now. You can respond and be open, but we're not gonna go backwards to make, I'm an ex people pleaser in the making, moving forward.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I don't even want to claim being a people pleaser, but the funny thing about it is retired. I used to feel comfortable being like, oh my god, now it's like it like I want to throw up. It irks me. It's uncomfortable. I feel the EBGBs,
Mhm.
and in a way, even though I felt some kind of way and I was upset, after I got off with y'all, I felt liberated. I felt liberated. I inhaled, I exhaled. Is it still bothering me? Yes. And it's okay. It's how I'm responding to it. And that's why you gotta have that's why you gotta be a part of the sisterhood. Welcome to the sisterhood, and have a good group of women around you that you could talk to on Saturdays to unpack this stuff as we are becoming. One of the other things that I loved that we tapped into is that people around us are not people around us are uncomfortable with the moves that we are making. People around, it's so funny. Last week we were talking about Shani, and we were like, we don't like when people say you're doing too much. And sometimes people say that because they're uncomfortable that we're doing too much. People say that because they're putting their own limitations on us. And in reality, I realized too, and this is all coming to me at one time. I'm also figuring out too that some people in my life may be doing certain things because they don't know what it is they want to do or where they want to go and what they want to fulfill, and that's okay. But I think sometimes, like you said, things get misconstrued and they don't even know it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like, going back to our conversation last week about being a Jack or Jill of all trades, like it kind of coincides with this conversation of becoming. When you are a person who is able to put your hands and do a lot of things, it may take you a little bit of time to really become, because you are like in different places. Did everybody freeze? Because I froze. There we are. There we are. We're back. But I feel like I can use only myself as an example. But like being a person who is able to do many things at one time, it wasn't until I really focused and got aligned with the bigger goal of where I wanted to go and who I wanted to be, that the becoming made sense to me, and the people falling off, and the what is happening in my life, and how things are starting to align with the bigger picture of who I am is happening. That it wasn't until I got in line with my biggest goal, or biggest, I don't know the word, what's the word to put there, biggest accomplishment to come, or whatever it is, that the word and the feeling of becoming really made sense to me. Because I mean, we're evolving and becoming every single day, literally. Like every day, that cliche of like, oh, I learned something new every day. Like that's real. Like I feel like every single day I'm like, what? I've been on this earth this many years, and I was today years old when I found out blah blah blah. And I'm just like, every single day we're evolving and becoming. But it's not, for me personally, it wasn't until recently, until doing this move and like really getting in line with who I am and where I want to go and what I want to do, that the word becoming really became something to me. And all the stuff around me, the people, like I said, I'm a people person. I'm not a people pleaser. I'm a people person. And I love people, and I love interaction. My love language is quality time. So I want that around me. But when I was becoming, and right now in the becoming mode, I'm okay with it just being me and my family, me and my immediate family. And that's big for me, because I want people around me, and sometimes you say you need people and all this stuff, and I'm like, I do, but I'm coming to a place that I'm like, I'm okay right now.
It's funny.
And once I get to this and become and like really get into this mode, then the other stuff that I love, like people coming around, it will naturally make its course back to me, and I'm okay with it.
It'll be different than the last things you attracted.
It's so funny, Shawnee, you said the keyword alignment. We talked about it on Thursday, and I was talking to my mom the other day, and I was sharing with her, after talking to you on Thursday, I was looking at all the people that I talk to on a regular basis. And it's so funny. We're all in the same alignment. Is it perfect? Is it great?
That's the hope.
Yes. And I just I looked, and I was telling my mom, I think about who I talk to on an everyday basis. Everyone is in a space of embracing, accepting, and moving forward, and going to the next, and not here for the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to go forward.
Remember I told y'all that Autumn had said to me recently, like before we moved, she was just like, you talk to like 100 people a day. And I was like, girl, get out of here. I did not talk to 100 people a day. Like, I ain't got time or whatever. And she was like, yes, you do. Like on your, and these are people who you like. I was like, that's my friend, and I love them, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I got offended because I was like, no, I don't. What do you mean? But the real is, like, we have so many mediums to communicate that once I started, like, doing the math, I'm like, well, I do speak to, like, 30 people a day, because we got 15 on a group chat on this thing. 10 on a group chat on this thing, 3, 4, 5 on a group chat on this thing. And it's just like, you're always in communication with people. And I realized that being stretched so thin to all these different people, and not everybody in these different groups of friends are aligned with where I want to go and where I want to do. And so once my wife brought that to my attention, honey, tell me how many I talked about that. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
And your sister.
I would say that I look at becoming as necessary points in time for change, right? if you think about all the things that y'all just talked about, think about how people go in and out of your life, right? And if you align it to where you are today, Nikki, like you were just pointing out, think about the people that have been in your life, gone, silent maybe for a little bit, not as active, maybe now more active. We're constantly being fed by the point in time in which we are.
That's right.
Right? For what we need.
Yes.
Right? So when you think about that, for me, becoming is necessary points in time for change. And it all comes about because of how you've been fed.
Yes.
Right? By the different relationships. So Chandra, I'd almost challenge the idea, although maybe not everybody is aligned with where you are right now, they're feeding you in other ways that are helping you to grow. So when that next point in time comes about, you'll be becoming at that necessary point in time for change again when you're pivoting to being a different you.
Right. And it's funny because they could be feeding you very nourishing things and they could be feeding you trash. Either way, it's helping you become
right.
Who
either
you
way,
forming your opinions.
Either way, and which is part of the conversation we were having. Nikki's response was not her authentic response because the person who she is now is really not comfortable with. Well, she had a response that wasn't her authentic response, and really her authentic response is where she is now grown to be. The choice that she made was about like composure and perhaps decorum. But I gave an example, and if she's watching, I'm sure she'll be honored. But my mother is very, very authentic in her responses. And to the hip hop song, you could get with this or you could get with that. She not disrespectfully, but she's very authentic to herself. And her growth, because we're talking becoming equates growth to me. I have really seen her be this person throughout, where I might be, that's not what I should say. She would say it. I have grown to be more authentic, but I struggle with the same thing you're struggling with, Nikki, because I feel like my response should be nice. And sometimes this life is not nice. And sometimes
what people give you ain't nice.
And what people give you isn't nice. So what I think that we're talking about, and Nikki, that's a good point in time, does help us to grow, but it's about growth. And what we also talked about is how we're growing, and then the people around us are also evolving in their own way. Sometimes they're evolving in negative ways. Sometimes they're evolving in positive ways. But either way, I can't put them before me. Like, okay, this made me uncomfortable. And honestly, like, this also it's kind of this is a loaded topic, but you can say like it's a know thyself moment. If you say, listen, if I respond right now, it's gonna be ugly, it's gonna be vicious. I don't want to feel like that. I'll respond when I feel that it's a better time. However, the response should still be authentic and honest, not like, well, shouldn't, if that's not how you feel, you should be like, listen, I feel better now, but let me tell you why this bothered me. And I really don't feel like it's not lost on me that sometimes, our expectation of others, like you there was an expectation put on you that this person could say all of this stuff to you. And it's like, no, you can't speak to me that way.
Because I want to give you something else to think about.
She was responding to who you used to be.
I want to give you something else to think about. We all know the situation, but you can make it very general. Okay. I hear what you're trying to say and responding as your authentic self, because it's also putting out there the reality of what you're living in and what you're going through. What I liked about the response that was offered, right? And that anybody could use this when you're addressed by something that catches you off guard and it's bringing you to a place that maybe you don't feel is fair and you don't like how it's making you feel. The response that Nikki gave that I learned from immediately was that she brought her into her place of growth. And what I mean by that is she gave her the space to accept her feelings and hear them. But she also gave the opportunity for it to be explored further because she values the relationship. And that's growth, right? So you brought her to a place of where you are. And you didn't, I remember I said this to you. Sometimes, let's think about authenticity, because you might have immediately replied, you don't even know what's going on in my life. You don't even know, like, I'm sorry, friend, I couldn't see this, or maybe I missed something, but you don't know what's happening with me. And what I liked about it is you allowed it not to be about you, because you value that relationship. And that in itself is growth too. And I grew in that moment of hearing your response, because in a nice way, I'm thinking, well, you could also share, like, it could go both ways, right? But what you did allow was the space for that person to have their moment and not take away from it saying, me too.
Right. I appreciate
just to close off on that, and I'll stop. I just think you also brought that person, and we could all learn from this in terms of our responses when things like hit us the wrong way, people catch us off guard, say things that we feel are not right or kind, and especially if you value the relationship, bring them to the space of growth of where you're going and how you want to manage this. Give them the platform to speak their piece. It gives you more information to decide how you want to respond to according to who you are today. And that's
absolutely.
I love that. And I appreciate that, because I will push back on it. I don't think I responded not authentically. I just didn't respond when I first got the message. I was like, blah, blah. And I did do what Nikki said. What I did not do that I used to do in the past, and my mother is watching, I would be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I did none of that. None of that. And I did allow space.
But that's growth in itself.
That's what growth is, yeah.
Because I do value the relationship. And I did say this, and I did say, this is where I see where the issue is. And that's what I want to discuss. What I'm not going to discuss, this other stuff is secondary. And that's where I'm growing. Yeah. That's where I was authentic in the place. And that's where I recognize that I am growing. And in a weird way, it was uncomfortable because I didn't respond in the way that I would have in the past. But a friend of mine just texted me.
I'll give another example for people to understand a little bit closer to like home with like the rah of it all. It's just like, I personally can use me as an example, because I used to be raw, meaning you say something to me, I don't care what's happening, I don't care who's around, I will pop off out of, in the moment. And that carried a long time with me. Like, people just expected me to respond in all cases the same way. And when I matured and grew away from that and started responding, it caught people off guard initially, and it caught me off guard because everyone's expecting you to always be that, especially old people that we know, old friends or whatever. They're expecting you to always be that. Listen, I have been 12 years old since I was 12 years old, to people at home, you know what I'm saying? And so they never allow you to, it's like culturally, they just don't allow you to grow out of who they knew you to be, good or bad, And so I was always that just like super rah-rah pop off at the, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, oh, you having a problem at such and such, call Shawnee because she'll go off on them. Like it was just, it was always that. And when I matured away from that and learned how to look you in the face and still say what I mean and not have to raise my voice, not have to demean anyone, not have to, you know, do anything extra and just be clear. And I understood that. It shocked me and everyone around me because now they had to respect where I am and how I respond to things. And it's uncomfortable for everyone, especially in the first, you know, time that it happens. It's so uncomfortable because they're like, what? I thought you would blah, 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 blah.
But guess what, Shawnee? Because you know why? Because you're becoming. And it's uncomfortable and it's going to happen. Let me say this real quick, Shelly, because we have some people watching on the internet. Someone said, I have a friend that just texted me, said uncomfortable equals progress. As you are becoming, you evolve into a cleaner, meaning you make decisions, not suggestions. You know the answer while everyone else is still asking questions.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Love that.
What I wanted to insert from the Boogie Down Bronx section of this conversation, especially for your example, Nikki, where you talked about how your immediate feeling was like, rawr. And then you did what Nikki on Boss so eloquently stated, right? You took a moment, you did respond, you made space in your response to bring that person into your evolution, should they want to come. The one Boogie Down Bronx note I want to make is if doing that, right, like quelling the rah-rah Shawnee version of yourself tastes like you're eating poison, give the rah-rah.
And I can agree with that too.
Totally agree. Because that goes back to when I said how you value the relationship.
Exactly.
You value the relationship, so she gave her that moment.
So there are moments when anything, you're eating poison by forcing that back. There are moments where taking that moment allows that to cool out. And you're like, okay, I'm going to give it, but it's going to be healthier. But there are some situations and some people and some statements where the rah-rah is necessary because you have to throw that vomit up and get it out of you instead of taking it in voluntarily.
Excuse my language, but absolutely.
So there's two, like, you know, check that
that's
for
clear.
Yeah,
because that'll hurt you.
And
you're never swallowing. At any point, you don't swallow anything that doesn't feel good.
Exactly.
And that's what I used to do. I used to always swallow what doesn't feel good. And I'm fine. Thank you for saying that, Shelly. And I'm when the conversation is had, and I share this with my mom, I am ready to state to give. No, I might not be like us, but it's time. I always say, I remember I told you guys, I told my mom, I don't think I'm as nice as I used to be. My mother said, no, that's not it. You're not as green as you used to be. But I loved what you say, Shelly. You say you're not as nice as you used to be.
No.
You know,
you're not as nice as you used to be because you know who you are.
You know who I am.
You know what you stand for. You know what
you've evolved past
you've evolved.
that point. But and you're becoming. And what I was saying to you is truthfully, and this is not we're talking to you, but we're talking to ourselves. I value taking I don't like when I explode, right? That's not something. So authentically, I don't like that. So what I was saying, like, is when we take a minute and you take a minute, your authentic voice still needs to be in that. It shouldn't be it shouldn't be that after you take a beat. It should still be your authentic voice of whatever the response should be. I just wanted to be clear because I don't know if that was clear.
You know what, Crystal, with you saying that, I think a question we ask ourselves, when we're in that moment, right, is, am I not doing this because I don't like you said, I don't like when I explode, like you don't like that feeling. Right. Or am I saying the thing you say is, or am I shifting my authentic response because I don't want them to feel a certain way.
That's a great question. I think that's a great question, and I can say
you don't like feeling that way.
But
that's what I'm saying. A lot of us are like, oh, I don't like feeling, because a lot of people that feels like out of control, and we don't like it, which is great. As long as your answer is, I'm not going to do this because I don't like feeling this way.
Like it has nothing to do with them. But
exactly.
I think, no, but
if you feel like, well, I'm formulating this because I'm concerned about how they are going to feel, that's when you have to check yourself and figure out who you're becoming, right?
Absolutely. That's such a great point. And I want to make this point about something that happened to me, a growth point that I saw. And it is continuous. So, sometimes things are more like watershed moments. There was a situation that happened to me where someone said something really nasty about me, but they didn't realize that I was on the thread. And so the person was very authentically saying these things, and she was horrified. And I was really hurt by it. And I stopped, and I was very hurt by it, and I had to process first. And the processing, I took the time that I needed, because I was like, this is not something I can sugarcoat, that it's something different, whatever. It was exactly what it perceived to be. This was exactly what it was. And it took me about, say, a month, because I needed to separate myself out from the situation and this person who was hurting about something else, which has nothing to do with me. But I needed to make sure that I was like the Crystal James Goodwin party of one. I need to make sure that I'm good, right? And I did not respond to her directly until I was good. Not broken, not sad, not hurt, not whatever. Right. And by the time I responded to her, when I say fine, her response, what she said had nothing to do with me.
Right.
But I needed the time to realize what happened to me and how I was feeling. So I don't even have an issue with this person. You know what I mean? Because now I'm carrying somebody else's pain, and I don't know, whatever was happening for her in my life. And she don't do that. I got stuff. I got the flu, actually. Like I feel terrible right now. But I needed to know for me, like singularly for me, what it was, what I felt, and then I responded to her. And truthfully, when I see her, nothing even comes up, because it don't have nothing. That was all completely her stuff. You feel what I'm saying? Like
that's the trash that helped you with.
That's exactly where I was going to jump in, because I remember something very similar happened to me with work. And this guy that I was working really closely with, and unfortunately, I was riding him because things needed to get done and it had to be done a certain way. And he sends a text message, and this was a couple years ago, number of years ago. So I don't know why we went in text. I'm trying to think about it now. And he did not realize he texted me. And he was talking about me. I looked at it. I read it.
That's that. I'm like, you took the words right out of my mouth, Michelle. I'm like, that is karma if it ain't nothing right there.
I mean, I was thinking about your story, Kristen. I was like, it shows up when you need, like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, you see what you need to see when it's time to see it, right? Absolutely. Whatever it is. And it's not actually what you're seeing. It's the message or the need of what the message is trying to tell you of what you're seeing, right? Yes. But in this case, you took a minute, which is to Lachelle's point, you transitioned or transformed based off of what you read, how you received it, what you didn't like or did like about it, or what you were going to do with it. It took you some time to do it, and that's fine. In this case, I took a minute, I read it. I got hurt at first, and then I responded because all of a sudden I realized I just responded. And I responded to let him know that he texted me. That's all I said. In that moment, he had some other people in the text. He had an opportunity of growth. He had to check himself.
Talk about booty clenching.
I was good because, you know, I know what you're thinking now.
Yes.
So when I showed up at that next meeting, I had no issue. He was uncomfortable.
Of course.
Absolutely.
So to that point, I mean, I just think all these things are necessary
Yes.
to
And
decide.
inevitable.
And it goes back to what that person wrote in was it, where'd you say, on YouTube, or I forget where you said, Nikki, where they said it's about, what was it? You're making decisions versus, what was it, Nikki, that you just read?
You're making what did you say?
Hold on.
Well, other people are still asking questions.
I got it. Yeah. Are you, as you are becoming, you evolve into a cleaner, meaning you make decisions, not suggestions. You know that while everyone else is still asking questions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what we did. Whether you took a month or I did it right away at the same thing, we made a decision. And that's when we became.
That's right.
The next version of ourselves.
I want to shift a little bit. Thank you for unpacking this section. I love that we unpack and we chat. I love it. I love y'all. I love y'all. What happens when the roles reverse? When you are the person uncomfortable with the ones you love evolving? What are parents? What are parents in the balcony? What are the parents in the balcony?
That's hard.
Listen, I find we're all subject to that, right? We've all seen people we love evolve. And often when people you are connected to evolve, it really kind of loosens up how it is they serve purpose in your life, right? They're not here to do maybe what you were accustomed to them doing or being for you. And that can be uncomfortable. What I've learned in my more mature years is that when I see people around me evolving and I feel it, you feel someone's evolution because it shifts the way you're connected or it shifts what y'all do with each other. It helps me to understand for myself where and what I value in that person. Because when you're connected to someone for a while, you kind of, we just friends, like them friends from back in the day, like Shawnee was talking about. You don't check in often when your relationship has gone for a while to say, like, what do I value in this person? What is it that I value about our connection? But when someone's evolving and shifting and you feel it in a way that feels great, in a way that feels bad, if it's uncomfortable, it's a great time, for me at least. I would be like, okay, wait, what do I value in this person? Does this relationship still serve me? And sometimes I find out it doesn't, right? We probably should have moved to a different phase with us before. But often I find just how much I love that person. Because even if their growing means I'm losing something that maybe I relied on from them, I still feel this joy and happiness, and I see them as an inspiration for me to do more of that for myself. But sometimes I'm like, well, then
sometimes you got to remind yourself not to take it personal because the change is hurting you. Exactly. Sometimes you got to give them space and just watch them grow and see where they're going.
I have a couple of, absolutely. I have like two quick examples of that. It's one of like watching my parents. Excuse me. My parents, I've talked about them on here multiple times, but my parents were together really, really young. And they started dating at like 14 and 16. And, by time they had their first kid at 17 and 19, and they had 4 children by 25, 24, 25, so they were they grew up really fast, right? And they had to grow and like mature this family and all this stuff, but and their priorities became their family and their children and like making sure that we were good and all that kind of stuff. And they lost themselves in that for a long time. And it wasn't until we were all grown that they really just looked at each other like, oh well, who are you again? Hello, my name is my name is, type of situation. They literally grew up and grew apart because they didn't know each other. And
They know
who,
themselves.
yeah, or themselves, and who they, thought would be, who they got together with at 14 and 16 years old is definitely not who they are at 40. We would hope who they are at 40 and, and older. So my parents ended up splitting up after when I was grown. That's another cultural thing you do. You stay in something until your kids is grown and all that kind of stuff, knowing that you are already moving and growing apart. But I remember my mom saying, like, she just never was able to explore who she was until now. Like, we're all grown, where my mother has lived multiple lives, it seemed like, in my eyes, but in her eyes, she only had one thing, and that was like taking care of her children and making sure that was her lifeline. And once we were all grown in a way, now she was like, what do I do? So now at 50 years old, she's just now, this is a while, obviously years ago, but she's just starting to become who she really is, and the person that she wanted to be maybe 20 years ago or more.
And all the kids have to get adjusted to that, and her siblings and her friends, like all of them are subject to it. But that's the beauty of relationships, right? And I wonder, in Nikki's question, how that feels for your mom, right? Like, that she is now becoming who she is now and showing up as this person to all these people who've known her all these years in one way, right? It is uncomfortable.
Yeah. I think about my mom, and I think about her allowing me to fly and do my thing all these years, even from when I was little. And I think I told y'all before, when I was learning how to swim and I was like 10, jumping off the 10 feet diving board. And that was a part, my mom, I was evolving. I was becoming as a little kid. And she was, and the next week she went and got herself in swimming lessons, because she said in her head, if my child does not come back up, I cannot go save her. So I think about that when I think about parents as your children evolve, as they get older, as they become teenagers, adults. I'm looking at all of y'all, the conversation you had about Callie. I'm looking at Malachi, Jada, Kassar, and
Tannen.
and Tannen, yeah.
You know what I was going to say? I'm thinking about this because you first posed this question and posed it to parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me, I'm realizing, I'm thinking about this right now. It has been easier for me to watch my children becoming. I think because the conditioning of parenting is from day one. Every day they're changing, right? Every day they're changing. They can't walk, then they can. They can't talk, then they can. They can't run, then they run. You know what I'm saying? Like, they listen, then they don't. Like, I feel like I was conditioned to expect their becoming, because that's what parenting in those first 20 years is all about.
Wow.
But with friends, they are a thing when y'all do this. And then y'all on both sides, you're almost committed to staying that thing to the other person that connected y'all in the first place. So when one or two of you start becoming, it feels strange. For me, I'm realizing with my kids, I expected them to change every day, because they did. Today they love pasta, and I go to Costco's, and then tomorrow nobody wants pasta. Like, I was conditioned into the becoming, right? But with friends, it's like they come, I don't know, like they come in this thing like, this is who I'm gonna be with you, and this is who you're gonna be with me. And then a person evolves, or both of you evolve, and it feels unusual.
Feels funny.
It's so odd. It's hitting me.
That's
Wow.
really,
And I think if friends, the way we look at kids, because as parents, you're forced to accept the becoming.
but it is forced. I want to go to something. I hope Shani doesn't mind sharing her story. But as my son is becoming a young man, he is experiencing life. He's not only becoming here, he's becoming outside of the home too. His influences are changing. His experiences are changing, right? So these are factoring into the person that he is becoming. And then you know, and Shani and talk about just the what she saw in her eldest daughter, but you expect change, but you're like, I need you to change right here. I need you to stay right here, and I need to make these references about when you were little and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, but I'm not little anymore. And you see when he walks in here, I see him now, you know, I'm learning to see him as a young man. But when I see him, my mother told me that a couple of weeks ago that she had a dream about me, and I was 3 in the dream. You know, so
like their baby.
So it's understanding that it is uncomfortable, and you do need to allow them to grow, and you know that they're clearly not 4 years old anymore, but it is something that it is on a continuum, like, you know, and you really hit the nail on the head. If my girlfriend from high school, when I see her, I'm 15. Mm-hmm. I'm 15. I'm laughing. She's making me laugh, and it's pure joy, right? But I think that, and there's something foundationally very sweet about that to me, because she brings me from maybe where I am to right here, and it's us, and it's safe, and she's my person.
Yes. Our kids have no interest in doing that for us.
You don't want to be my person. You don't want to be my person. You're like, you ain't got no friends. You want to be your person.
Listen, my daughter is 4, and she already has her stamp. She's like, I am solid. My feet are planted in this ground with the tar around it that makes me stand straight up, and I ain't moving. Like she is, and it is so. It's every single day. I'm like, wow, you know. This is who I pray for, and this is the type of parent that I prayed that I could be, and that is letting my children be who they are authentically, not trying to sway them to be a good girl, a nice girl, a this or that, but teaching them values and allowing them to evolve in the way that works for them.
Which is uncomfortable and inevitable.
Listen, what I said that. But when it comes into reality, I'm like, girl, say something else to me. We about to be fighting like 2 chicks in the street. Like, and she be like, we'll dig your earrings off. Here we go. And I'm like,
but it's the same.
But it's the same. No, but I'm saying that's her actions. It's like, like what? You want me to do this or not? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you want me to evolve and grow into being my own person, or you want me to be a step and repeat of what you were? Like, I don't understand.
It's an eyebrow raise. It's an eyebrow raise, because I know.
And I have to say that every single time, and I have to check myself, and I'm like,
exactly. That's what I was gonna say. It makes me check myself. Because at that point, you have an opportunity to push on them, like say, well, have that stance of I'm your mother or whatever, and this is my opinion, or you have the opportunity to grow with them.
Yeah,
right?
But it goes back to the same. It goes back to the original topic. It's like, do you want them to be who they always were, or who they're supposed to be? Then we get into these other societal norms. Do what I say, not what I do. It's like, what you telling them to do is not who they are anymore.
Yeah, it's respecting who they are. But
so it turns itself on what we were talking about in the very beginning of being able to, you know, hear and listen, or, you know, understand that the person you're talking to evolves, and that feels uncomfortable because you're like, no, you're supposed to be this.
Yeah, don't tell Callie that, because Callie's like, hell to the no, to the no.
I have a question that was sent to me, and this is a show. What about parenting as a father versus a mother? Do fathers feel the same way as mothers? That's a show.
I can only answer that question as the child of a mother and a father.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
My father was, and I have to say, if I think about a lot of the dads that I know, like my friends' dads, Keisha's friends' dads, I had a lot of friends who had dads like around. Fathers had a much easier time. There were certain pieces, right, with their girls. Because most of the fathers I'm talking about, fathers of girls, that they were like, you know. But in general, I know with my father, he had a much easier time respecting my becoming than my mom was more like the mom, you know, listen, we doing this, we doing it this way, we doing it now, we doing it later, right? And it wasn't, you know, who you expect your children to be or want your children to be is never who they are, right? Because we don't know who they are now and who they'll be next week. But I found, if I do my own little personal study, thinking of the fathers I know, I did see dads, it seemed to have if they weren't having an easier time, they were faking it and giving a little more space for the becoming than I saw moms do. And, you know, in my generation growing up, it was more like, this is the path and you're going to stay on it. And I'm going to do what I got to do to keep you on it. With my father personally, it was made way more like, okay, well, what do you want to do now? Yeah. I'm sure he had thoughts about what I should do, but
I agree with you. I think the bigger difference is that, you know, women are the vessel. So they already have a completely different connection to this human being before they're here, right? And when they're here. The father or the other parent has to create connection with that child. So they are already on a playing field of like, let me, like this, one of my dressers at work at Lion King said this to me and it stuck with me so bad. So her sister said to her, oh, how is the baby acting or something when she first had her baby? And she was like, I don't know, I just met her. And like, it sounds so funny because you're like, you wouldn't correlate that with a baby, like you just met them, but that's the real is that we're just meeting this human being, and on the other parent side, they literally are just connecting with this. We've connected with them, you know, for a period of time on the inside, but this person is just connected. So they may walk a little slower, they may, you know, allow them to do a little bit more. My father, I don't play about him. I am daddy's girl all day, all night, right? I don't play about that man. However, he allowed me to be me until I was an adult. When I became an adult and really was making decisions, he was like, whoa, what's happening here? What's going on? I don't approve. I don't stop. What are you doing? And it wasn't until we, like, you know, really understood the growing and maturing and evolving that he was just like, you know what? You gonna be who you gonna be, whether I like it or not. So let me just jump on board or keep it pushing. And I feel like that's the bigger difference between mothers and fathers, is that they really have to get to know you
themselves, right?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
This is such a great point. I know we are coming up on time. We've been having good conversations lately.
That's because this is how we get down in the ladies'
conversations lately. And I always feel like there needs to be a part two. I do want us to leave. We've been doing a really good job at leaving our viewers and ourselves with a nugget or two. And I know we are all becoming and we are all evolving. And some of us are resisting. Some of us are, you know, embracing, accepting, and moving forward. What do we say to our people out there that are still in that resistance mode? I know I was resisting, but now I'm like, come on, girl, I need to get moving. I need to get moving. TD Jake said something yesterday. I was trying to find my notes earlier. He said a lot of stuff. I said it to another show, but it was something real poignant. Like, if you don't get out there and do it, somebody else would, but it was better than that. Does that make sense? It was better than that. What do we say to our people?
I have something, and it's not even to the people, but it's about us, the whole Ladies First Chit Chat crew collective. I am realizing in this show that for the last 2 years and 7 months, we have been showing up, pushing each other to become. Like we have actually, that's what we've been doing. We've been becoming. We've collectively been holding each other up together, accountable, with to become. So I'm just grateful for this space. And I'm grateful for the community. I'm grateful for you ladies, but I'm just grateful for this community, because where would we be had we not been having these conversations for the last 2 years and 7 months? Like, where would we be alone? Like me by myself.
Remember that episode we talked about being dragged?
Dragged.
We'll be getting dragged somewhere.
I just want to make that statement, right? And everyone watching, listening, watching this in the replay, just know, like, this is a space for you to become, and you don't have to do it alone. And where you are going is going to be respected. And I'm just glad we have it.
Absolutely. I'll piggyback on that and just say, I always, for everything, go back to the basics. And the basics in this is like childlike. When we're children, we're allowed to explore, we're allowed to grow, we're allowed to fall and hurt ourselves and get up and, oh, it's a little boo-boo, like, you okay? Like, we're allowed to have that when we're a kid. Why? Just like naps. Why do we stop napping when we become adults? It's like we need those things to be so that we can be. And so I would just say, admonish everyone to go back to the basics and remember how you treat your children, or you felt like you were treated when you were a kid, and you were allowed to do and be.
I love. Sarah Murray says, thank you, Sarah. This is incredible. All the things I've been deeply reflecting on recently, and you pushed my thinking further. Needed this. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Sarah. And I agree. This has been an amazing space.
I want to share something.
Go ahead, Nikki. Go ahead.
What came to my head is when you said, I forget what your question was, but I know what I'm ultimately answering. But I was thinking when you said the idea of becoming, right? I wanted us to walk away with the idea of the fact, and a number of you hit on it, we're growing. And it's okay. It's okay that things are not the same, that they're changing. We feel different. We're responding different. People are responding differently to us. I wanted us to leave with the idea that it's okay. And as it's okay, we get closer to living within and living our life's purpose. So remember, it's okay.
I love. Chrissy, you want to say anything beautiful? Y'all, Chrissy under the weather today. I gave her my thing over virtually. You look beautiful, babe.
Thank you. You're very kind. I to piggyback off of what everyone has said, I don't know that we always recognize it, but I do think that, your soul really does speak to how you want to respond, if it hurts you, if it's all right, if this is not a person who you recognize it. There's a hint of something, you'd be like, I don't know if this is a person that I want in my life in the same way anymore, or I absolutely want this person in my life, but I need to make sure that they understand who I am now. I think that part is okay too. And to really be very connected to your soul with all of this, because that's what's always speaking.
I love that. I want to say that I know with the resistance, I know sometimes I would be resistant of evolving because of fear of a lot of things. And I'm really realizing fear is a liar. And it's funny, TD Jake said the other day,
I just think that's out.
I know.
Fear is a liar.
My other Aries friend said fear is a liar too. And but I remember TD said the other night, he said that just like God shows up as a vessel through people, the enemy will show up as a vessel as too, and will put fear in you. And he said fear is a liar. And remember to surround yourselves around people that continue to keep you lifted and that are supporting you as you evolve, is what he said. And he also said that because just like the enemy will get you into a solitude place and get you talking ugly things about you, the spirit and those people that you surround yourself will continue. When you get ready to go there, just their presence alone and how they look at you on FaceTime and how they look at you on Zoom, and when you walk through the room will remind you, just that little reminder of who you are, and that you get to embrace, accept, and move forward. And that's what we're going to do. We are becoming. Nikki, happy mother effing birthday, girl.
Thank you.
Love you. I have to say 2 things we need to talk about them today. Remember our shirts, our t-shirts. Go to the y'all that's already online. Go to the ladies first chitchatcrew.com. Look at the top. It says the LFCCC shirts. Go get your shirt. It may say out of stock. That's not what that means. We're saving them for y'all. And the other thing is, we are not on Facebook today. Y'all see this. I'm behind the scenes on Wix, and I see the amount of people that are watching. This is the highest show of viewers that we have ever had.
Let's go.
And I was nervous. This morning.
Isn't that awesome? Listen,
look at that.
People come
look at
us supporting us.
Thank you.
And joining in with us to grow together.
We love y'all.
Come back next week and bring your friends.
Come back next week and bring your friends, everybody. Thank you. Have an amazing Saturday. Happy birthday, Nick. I love y'all. I love Lachelle, Chandra, Crystal, and Nikki Unboss. I love you from the bottom. Mwah. Have a beautiful day.
Bye.
Mommy, I love you too. I know you watch.
what you want. Unbossed. Speak what you want. Unbossed. And we're up first.
Unapologetically great. Unapologetically great. Unapologetically great.
And we're up first.
Yes, ladies.
That's dope.
Yes, ladies.
That's dope.
Yes, ladies.
That's dope. And we're up first.
It's time for the ladies.
It's the ladies first Chit-Chat crew.
Time for the ladies.
It's the ladies first Chit-Chat crew. One time for the ladies in the house. Two time make the people scream and shout. Lachelle, Chandra, Crystal with Nikki, Unboss, and Nikki.
L-A-D-I-S,
And we're up first.
L-A-D-I-S,
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See y'all later.